All right, today I'm going to be talking about Gwendolyn Brooks in her poetry that I've chosen. Brooks was such an interesting woman, an accomplished black woman. 13 when she published her first poem, which was Eventide, and when she was 17, she was writing pieces for a Chicago newspaper, the Chicago Defender, and publishing in a newspaper. So you think about like where you were. Some of you are still 17. I'm thinking about where I was at 17 and my emotional and mental and ability, fortitude, whatever you want to call it. There's no way that I could have been. I mean, I wrote a lot, but there's no way I could have been a published author by in such a young age. But she was the first black author to win a Pulitzer Prize. She was the poetry consultant to the Library of Congress, which was the first black woman to hold that position. You know, she wrote a lot about civil rights. She's a very big civil rights activist. She wrote about social situations, and mainly on Chicago's South Side neighborhood, which where she grew up. So the 2 points that I'm going to talk about today are A Song in the Front Yard and The Bean Eater. So let's do A Song in the Front Yard first, and then we'll pick up The Bean Eaters next. I've stayed in the front yard all my life. I want to peek at the back where it's rough and untended and hungry weed grows. A girl gets sick of a rose. I want to go into the in the backyard now and maybe down the alley to where the charity children play. I want a good time today. They do some wonderful things. They have some wonderful fun. My mother sneers, but I say it's fine how they don't have to go in at 8:45. My mother, she tells me that Johnny May will grow up to be a bad woman, that George will be taken to jail soon or late on account of last winter he sold our back gate. But I say it's fine. Honest, I do. And I'd like to be a bad woman too, and wear the brave stockings of night black lace and strut down the streets with paint on my face. Okay, so what we have here is obviously a split between a mother who's trying to protect her daughter from the dark side of life, the backyard, right? Um, and a daughter who's really intrigued by that side and wants to take part of it. She really wants to experience life for herself, and she really has no idea like what she's getting herself into. That old adage that, the grass isn't greener on the other side. She sees these qualities in what she is of the people that live on the streets, and where the charity children. She sees these qualities in them that she wants for her own life, and it's really because she's living a very sheltered life. We find out that her mom makes her come in at 9 o'clock, and there's she has a lot more than others, obviously, maybe not still a really full life, but definitely more than the charity children have. But she's sick of that. She wants something different. So she says there in the beginning, I've stayed in the front yard all my life. I want to peek at the back where it's rough and untended and hungry weed grows. A girl gets sick of a rose. So she's been privileged. She's been pampered, right? She's a rose. And she wants a chance to kind of live on in at the back where it's rough and untended. So rough and untended, and she's grown tired of everything good. She's sick of a rose. She's ready to experience a little bit of bad. However, she's not really aware because she's so sheltered. She's not really aware of the real dangers that she could face on the streets. And her mom seems to know this, which is why she kind of wants to discourage her from chasing this lifestyle. So, and stanza two, she insists that she wants to go into the backyard and down the alley. She says that she wants to go to where the charity children play because she wants a good time today. Charity children, those are the kids living in the street, the children that are in homes like foster care. Like they're having a good old time, like down the street, down the alley. And that's what she wants to be there too. She wants to be a part of that fun that they are having, that good time. In season three, she asserts that they do some wonderful things and have some wonderful fun. Um, However, her mom takes a different view of these characters that her daughter wants to hang out with. So her mother sneers. But it's all about for her. Well, they don't even have to go in at a quarter now. They don't have a curfew. That's what the draw is for her. They have some wonderful fun. They do some wonderful things. They can stay out as late as they want. And here she is. She has to be inside, and she doesn't. She's got a curfew, and she's tired of that life. But her mother is like pointing out, like, hey, Johnny May, that girl that you are, so fascinated and wanting to be friends with, she'll grow up to be a bad woman. And George, another young man that lives down the street in the alley, will be taken to jail sooner or late because he literally took their back gate off their house and sold it for money. Um, so mom is like trying to say, hey, these people that you're associating yourself with, they're not going to make anything of themselves. So let's not associate ourselves with them. But here it is. She says it's fine, right? Honest, I do, and I'd like to be a bad woman too and wear the brave stockings of night black lace and strut down the street with paint on my face. So that is, typical teenage rebellion, right? I say it's fine. I know best. I know everything. That kind of thing. And they're fine, right? These thugs that live down the street that do, these things, they're fine too. And then, mom and dad's the words that strike fear in our hearts. I want to be a bad woman too, and wear the brave stockings of black lace, and she wants to experience that life for herself. So typical teenage rebellion for you here. No idea what she's getting herself into. And hopefully, our little speaker will did not get herself into some crazy trouble. All right, switching gears to the bean eaters. This is kind of sad to me. So here we go. They eat beans mostly, this old yellow pair. Dinner is a casual affair. Plain chipware on a plain and creaking wood, tin flatware. Two who are mostly good, two who have lived their day, but keep on putting on their clothes and putting things away and remembering with twinklings and twinges as they lean over the beans in their rented back room that is full of beads and receipts and dolls and cloths, tobacco crumbs, vases, and fringes. Okay, there's seriously no rhyme or reason to the um, the lineup here. Definitely free verse. Look at that last line that goes on and on. Here we have, shorter bits and pieces of lines. Line four has like two, 10 flatware, three syllables in it. And then you have that long last line that has so much packed in there. So we're introduced to this old yellow pair. So, old, we know they're old. Yellow is a reference to African Americans, high yellow, um, but mainly I think things yellow with age too. So I think that that's where she's trying to go. We have an old black couple, and they eat beans, like mostly, not because they love beans, but because beans is all they can afford. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner they're eating their beans in a casual manner, right? In a casual affair. Plain chipware, that's chipped plates, not a fancy form of dinner plate. Plain chipware on a plain and creaking wood tin flatware, okay? They eat this way, they live this way because they cannot afford to do anything else. Like, this is not a choice. Like, hey, we're going to eat pizza on the couch tonight and watch TV, casual affair. This is all we have, and this is what we do, right? So in stanza two, we find out that they're mostly good, right? It's a new category of people, mostly good. They've lived their day. They've done the best that they could to live a decent life, right? They're mostly good. Every day, ordinary, lived a long time, making the best of the situation that they're forced to live in, right? And the world is like indifferent to them. It doesn't even know that they're still alive, right? They're lonely and isolated really in their home. If that's what you want to call it, this rented room, rented back room that they live in. The world has forgotten about them, but they are alive, right? They keep putting on their clothes, they put things away, um, even if no one else remembers, they're going to continue living and going about their daily routine. And here's what makes them special, right? So they remember things, right? Old people, they love to talk about and remember the old days, and remember things with twinklings and twinges. So these things that they're remembering are faded, right? Just the twinkling of an idea, just the twinge of an idea. They're not accumulating any new memories, right? They're putting on their clothes, they're putting things away, and they're remembering the good old days that they lived, the full lives that they've lived together as they lean over the beans in their rented back room that is full of beads and receipts and dolls and cloths, tobacco crumbs, vases, and fringes, which is probably like the saddest line in the whole poem to me. So we focus in on this old yellow pair eating their beans, remembering their things, but Brooks is pushing us as a reader to do the same thing that the world has done, is to focus on something else, turn a blind eye to this dire situation that they're living in. Hey, let's take a look at this rented back room full of beads and receipts and dolls and cloths, and kind of drawing our attention away from our bean eaters who we won't remember, after we leave this little setting. So interesting there, that that take on the social isolation. She wrote a lot about civil rights and activism, and this is one that's very kind of different, in terms of, but it's so meaningful too. This social isolation that she's describing, this old couple that the world has kind of forgotten about, and their really dire situation. So that's all for Gwendolyn Brooks. And we'll move on to the next one.